Hi, this is Katie Weeks, your independent, close to my heart maker, and today I'm here to share with you the second of 3 Stamp of the Month cards. I'm going to be doing that card all the way over to the left. It is a little bit different. So I'm using this large snowflake mandala, and I put a piece of dark cardstock or card base behind the overlay that I'm sending to you. I've cut out a tag that resembles an ornament from the Irresistible's cardstock, and I put that dark behind there just so I could line up where I thought I might have it. You could also just take a pencil and try to find the middle of that, a pencil and a ruler, and find the middle of where you would need to put your snowflake and line it up that way. There's different ways that you could do that. So I was trying to find the best place to put my snowflake, and I really am not using it so much as a snowflake as I am a mandala, and I'm using it for the pattern that will appear on my ornament. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that up with my Sapphire ink. I got a pretty good impression that first time, so I did not need to restamp it. And I love cleaning my stamps up with the stamp Shammy. If you have not got one of those, it's something you really need to try. Okay, and then I bring that overlay back over my card to see how it's going to line up and make sure I have enough acetate for it. Yeah, I think that's going to work. And next thing I need to do is ink up this Irresistible's cardstock. I'm going to be using the Picked Raspberry and Seedless Preserves Distress Oxide inks. I believe these were the ones that we carried last year. And I also use that mini ink blending tool with the domed ink blending foam. I like using this to ink things up. You certainly could use other inks to put on this Irresistibles paper, but I like working with the distressed oxides because of how creamy the inks are and how well they blend. But you can pick whatever you want, use whatever colors you want. I wanted to do something that was kind of a non-traditional Christmas colors. I think it would even be pretty in some like light and dark blues, but you can do however you like. So I'm just blending this all in, and I'm using my all-purpose mat. It just works wonderful and it cleans up so nice afterwards. And then I go back in and I keep blending them together. You see I'm using a post-it note just to keep my fingers from smudging the ink because they are very creamy and like a wet ink. And I did come in and heat set it just because I'm a little bit too impatient to wait for it to dry. And then after I heat set it, I take that acetate and I put it on. I use the very strong adhesive. I like to use something like this to put on the back, but you can use whatever you like. But since I'm making it into a shaker card, I like to make sure it's a really strong hold because I don't ever want my shaker cards to come apart. So I make sure that acetate is on there with some very strong tape. And then I'll just put this on and I'll be ready to assemble my shaker. So the next thing that I had to figure out after I got my acetate adhered to the back of this overlay was how I was going to do my foam around that circle. And the circle shaker window was not big enough for the circle for this tag. So what I did was I took the circle foam from the shaker window foam set and I cut it and just expanded it so it was a little bit bigger, and then took a small piece from another circle foam like you see right here and cut it and then just fit it snugly against the other one so that I had a really tight seal to put all of my little sequins in. So I just made it sure it was a tight seal all the way around, and then I added a few other random pieces of foam, and there's a little bit that goes through the top, but you're not going to see that once I put the ornament topper on there. So that was the best thing I could figure out for a larger circle. And if you have any other good ideas, let me know. But I didn't really want a square shape or anything else. I wanted it to stay within the circle as much as possible. So all those sequins would always be in the window and you could always see them. Now I didn't measure as well as I thought I would. So in order for that overlay to look centered, I needed to trim just a tiny bit off the right side of the card and the top of the card. And that was just kind of my own little cheat to make it look pretty centered. And then I bring in some sequins. Now these sequins are retired. They are from previous colors of the year, both the Blue Belle and the Wildberry, but they look absolutely beautiful with those Distress Oxide inks that I used. And so that's how I figured out which ones that I wanted in my shaker card. And then the next thing that I do is I bring in a little piece of ribbon. Now this is not close to my heart. We don't carry the assortment of ribbons that we used to, but I brought in a small piece of ribbon and just tied a bow. And this is at the top of the ornament topper that I cut from the custom ornament thin cuts, and I cut it out of that retired silver foil paper. And I tied a little bow up there, and this is like a white ribbon with silver all along the edges. So I thought it looked really nice, and it went well with all the sequins and that silver foil paper. And then I have one more step. I need to add a sentiment to the front of this. And so I pulled out the Merry Christmas and I inked it up with the Sapphire ink on a small sheet of white cardstock. And I'm just going to trim it down and then dovetail the end of that sentiment strip. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of the mini domed ink blending tool and just put a little ink on the edges of it, just so that it stands out a little bit from that white background that you can see the mandala. And so I bring back, I didn't even re-ink this foam tool, and I just had enough ink still on there, and I went through and I inked around the edges. Now it might be a little tricky for you to figure out how to do the inking on the edge of a dovetail end, but what I found works best is just to kind of bend it, not too much, and then you can get in that V and you can get all the way down to the crease, and it works wonderful. And then I added a few more foam squares from that Circle Shaker window foam piece that I had, and peel off the backing and pop that on the front of my card. And I think it's beautiful. You can see those sequins that are settled below it just a little bit, and then you can shake it up and still see lots and lots of sequins. And there's enough foam in that on the inside of it that the sequins really flow well. What I found is adding too many can make it hard. If I sent you a kit, you need to play. I'm not sure if you need to add all of the ones I sent you. So that's all for today. Join me tomorrow for the third card. And if you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, click on my channel below and then hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you'll know when I upload a crafty video. Feel free to leave a sweet comment and share this with a crafty friend. I hope you have a great day.